Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a B-movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Zombie Hunter. So Zombie Hunter, the best way I can describe it, is a very, very cartoonish zombie film. And if you can imagine Peter Jackson's early work, like Bad Taste and things like that, mixed with the directors who did the Crank films, will kind of give you an idea about what this film is like. Basically, it follows just a guy called Hunter, don't know if that's his actual name or if it's just his kind of title, as he's basically in this kind of zombie wasteland that we're sort of shown in a prologue is probably, but not definitely, caused by this kind of new drug that sort of hit the streets and ultimately turns everyone into zombies. And he hooks up with a band of 6 other kind of humans or unaffected humans that he meets along the way, including Danny Trejo and a kind of really just an extended cameo, to be quite honest. And then they face threats from both zombies, these kind of giant mutant lizard type things, and also a killer clown. So it's kind of like a throw it all in the kind of mixer type film really, and just sort of see what comes out. Now this is a low budget movie, so you kind of have to sort of give it some kind of leeway in regards to what it's trying to do, and it really does just throw everything in this kind of like this mixer ultimately. Now it's not a particularly serious film, and some of the criticisms that I've seen from this film so far is that it's just a little bit too wacky and the acting is a little bit, you know, not so good. And I will agree with that. The acting isn't very good. And it's difficult to tell if it's whether that's meant to be like that. They're kind of meant to be a little bit kind of crappy and wooden, or whether they just really are. Now you've got Danny Trejo here, as I've mentioned, but he really is only kind of an extended cameo. So don't go into this movie thinking it's going to be basically a film starring him. The main guy is this kind of young guy who's this very sort of stereotypical badass who kind of looks the spitting image of Bill Paxton in his kind of younger days. And he basically teams up with a kind of variety of very cliched characters. You know, you've kind of got the slutty girl, you've kind of got the Virginia girl, you've got the kind of the nerd, you've kind of got the arrogant guy, and you've got like the old bloke. It's a very, very cliche bunch of characters. And it's a simple plot. They're just kind of trying to get away from the zombies and just trying to sort of move off to a different area by trying to sort of get a plane off the country ultimately. And as I've mentioned, you've got wave after wave of kind of these zombie attacks. I will say the zombie makeup, I think, looks pretty decent for obviously a low budget. But they kind of do this kind of weird kind of like visual effects all the time with this movie. And a lot of it is kind of these, you see these kind of splats almost over the kind of the camera lens, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of fun once in a while, but they do it so often it actually becomes quite annoying. And it actually blocks a lot of what you're seeing a lot of the time. For some reason, it's a lot of like coloured. It almost look like it's in some sort of party or something. You've got all this kind of like coloured goo sort of going on the screen, and it literally near enough is every time you kind of have a zombie attack, you'll get stuff spraying up on the screen, so it looks like it's kind of on your TV screen and what have you. That should have been dialed down a little bit. I think it's okay a couple of times, but it was way too much. I don't know if it was possibly to cover effects, however, because it does seem to be whenever there's some, you know, it's actually stuff happening on screen. There's also kind of very sort of over stylistic sort of camera work. You know, like I said, this was kind of what it reminds me of, like with the guys who did the Crank. It's Naveen and Taylor, I believe their name is. Probably got that wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, who did the Ghost Rider Spirit Avengers movie. Kind of looks a little bit like that, and it's got like almost like these kind of like freeze frame kind of like titles that sort of pop up every so often to kind of give you an introduction on the characters. It is kind of a fun movie. It's nothing original. It is kind of a very cheesy movie. There's kind of a lot of action, lots of lots of gunplay, lots of exploding heads. Although I will say this in regards to the action, the choreography is a little bit off. If you watch it, when people actually get struck, or when zombies actually get struck, they actually react before you actually see the impact hit them. There's a scene kind of involving Danny Trejo. It's kind of almost like a flashback, to be honest, and he's basically just killing all these zombies with an axe. But they actually are falling away before he actually hits them. And there's a couple of instances where they do that with gunshots as well throughout the film. I will say this as well: lots of CGI blood in this film. They tend to sort of overdo the blood with kind of very obvious CGI effects. And also on the subject of CGI, as I've mentioned, you have these kind of big random monsters that turn up, and we don't actually know where they've come from. They just kind of appear, and we have to assume, I suppose, that there's some kind of mutation from the zombies, although we're never told any information about it, however, and I think we just kind of left it. These guys look a little bit like, almost like the Nemesis monster from Resident Evil games. And their CGI in them is fairly poor. But like I said, that's a kind of a low budget movie, so I can't hold it too much against it, but it is very obviously kind of fairly shoddy CGI. And like I've also mentioned, as well as both of those threats, you've kind of got these cannibals that we're sort of told about. And we're kind of seeing all this, like, this mad chainsaw wielding guy dressed up as a clown, which is, you know, pretty freaky. It's almost like a bit of a slasher moment there, kind of almost very shoehorned in, though, I have to say. It's kind of a fun movie, but really it's a bit dog-eared and kind of just a bit of a random movie. It's certainly not going to be for everyone. Even if you're a zombie fan, I think this is going to probably put some people off purely because it's such a strange and kind of random film. So I'm just going to give this one a 5 out of 10. So it's going to be okay for some people, but not others. If you kind of think you like it based on my description, go check it out. 5 out of 10 for me. Let me know what you think. Bye for now.